Hello and welcome to Holly and Martin Do Road Safety. Martin and I are road safety officers for Suffolk County Council's road safety team. So we're here to hopefully provide you with some useful advice for life on the road. Today is Ride to Work Day, and so we're going to be looking at commuting by moped, motorcycle and scooter. Martin knows a lot more about motorcycling than I do. In fact, I think he made a site visit by motorcycle this morning, so I believe. So he's going to be introducing our guest today. Good afternoon, Martin.
Hi, Holly. Yes, indeed. Yes, in the glorious sunshine. Um, our guest today is Rob Walters of Orwell Motorcycles, which is, I'm almost certainly, the largest dealership in Ipswich, if not in Suffolk. Nice to have you with us, Rob. Yeah, as Holly said, it's Ride to Work Day. There's probably a lot of motorcyclists out there who use their bikes for weekend trips, but don't actually commute on them. Have you got any advice for those who are going to be commuting by bike?
Yeah, hi Holly, hi Martin. Yeah, thanks for inviting me onto your podcast. Well, in terms of sort of the difference between commuting to and from work, I suppose, and when you're out on a sunny day, is the fact that it's a necessity that you're actually using the bike to get backwards and forwards to work. And so, probably from an advice point of view, it's making sure you plan your journey properly so that you've got the right equipment, because you never know what the weather might throw at you during the day. So I'd say that you want to plan your journey. You'll probably find that the alternative routes that you'd use, if you're normally using your car, for instance, to commute, there's probably better route on a motorcycle where you can filter through the traffic. So I'd say definitely plan the route. In terms of checking the weather, I mean, obviously on days like today, and we've had over the last few days, then as long as you've got your appropriate sort of protective equipment on, you don't really need anything else in terms of to allow for rain. But with the great British weather, obviously probably best to carry waterproofs, whether it's a jacket or over trousers, etc. There's various available. Also say you probably want to consider what you're going to take to work, so that you can make sure you've got capacity on the bike. I mean, a lot of scooters have quite a bit of capacity sort of under the seat, which is useful for mainly, if you want to put a laptop underneath, or you want to pick some shopping up on the way home, or you want to store your helmet so you don't have to carry your helmet around. You can put it under the seat. If you haven't got that capacity, then top boxes are really useful as well. If you've got a top box on the back of the bike, you can, they're all lockable. So you can lock your helmet in there, lock any protective gear in there, and then obviously carry your bits and pieces around in there as well. So, the sort of things you really need to consider.
I imagine, Rob, that a lot of people at the moment are worried about public transport. I imagine there's quite a lot of advantages in terms of social distancing of commuting by bike, scooter on your own, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is probably sort of the ultimate form of social distancing, really, as long as you haven't got a pillion. Because you are on your own. You're wearing protective gear. You're wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
So you're covering your face and mouth. Generally, you've got gloves on. So yeah, it's certainly good from that point of view. Obviously, the government at the moment are sort of trying to discourage people from using public transport, so they can maintain social distancing. And obviously, motorcycling, along with cycling, is very good at, you can leave when you want to. You're not reliant on timetables or anything like that. Obviously, cycling's great, but probably for most people, up to about 5 miles is about it. So, when you're talking about a scooter, or something like that, a small scooter or a small motorcycle, you can go that little bit further. You can go that further distance. The economy is really good. You're talking, most scooters will do over 100 miles to a gallon. We're talking the little Suzuki Address, for example. I think that is quoted at something like 135 miles per gallon. So,
Wow, that's really good. It's a
it
lot better than
is.
my car.
Yeah, I mean, to fill the tank up, you're talking 4 or 5 pounds, and that's it. So,
Wow.
really good. And, they'll still do 65 miles now, so they'll keep up with the traffic. And they're really light and maneuverable. They're under 100 kilograms as well. So they're really easy to maneuver through traffic. Nice and narrow to get through traffic. There's lots of scooters like that out and about, and they're very easy to maintain because you haven't got chains and things like that to lubricate like you would on a sort of full size or on a motorcycle. And they just twist and go. Anybody can get on them and ride them. If you can ride a push bike, you can ride one of those. So they are ideal. As I said, one of the big parts of it is the freedom. It's the fact that, you can set your own timetables, when you want to leave off, if you want to stop off to get some shopping, the sort of things you can't really do that easily when you're using public transport.
So thanks, Rob. You've really sold it to me. Not that you had to, but to be honest, there are one or two drawbacks, and we've mentioned weather already, but also sometimes in a car you can have a little bit of a shunt and it's just bent metal. Things
Yeah.
aren't quite so easy on a motorcycle. Any advice of being able to reduce the risks and get protection?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one is to try and avoid having any little bumps or spills in the first place. So I'm sort of big advocate of training, and not just the initial training. So doing your basic CBT, your compulsory basic training, but also sort of actually going on more advanced riding courses. So you sort of understand more about for example, allowing more distance when it's wet, not braking so heavily biased on your front brake, for example, that kind of thing. So the sort of advanced riding skills when the weather's not so good, and being more aware of other road users, acknowledging your vulnerability on two wheels. But you can mitigate against it, because nowadays, particularly, there's in terms of protective equipment, obviously helmets are compulsory, but you should always wear gloves and long trousers, for example, at least. But nowadays there's all sorts of sort of casual, sort of smart casual riding gear, which looks like normal casual clothing you could wear for work. So you don't even need to think about sort of changing. But within that, you've got sort of body armor, you've got Kevlar, you've got all the sort of safety features that you need, to protect you if you did have a spill.
It's just a pity this isn't a video broadcast, because I'm wearing my Kevlar line chinos at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Very
I've got mine on
stylish.
too. Funny enough.
For parents who might be considering getting their first bike for their child at home, for
Mhm.
getting to college or work,
Yeah.
where can they go to get good advice, Rob?
First place I'd say is sort of your local bike shop, because I mean,
Yeah.
like this shop, for example, our shop at Orwell's. I mean, we've got, I think, every single member of staff, barring two, that's out of 20 staff, commute to
Yeah.
work by bike. We've got so we've got lots of experience of commuting. So, and lots of miles. And sort of understanding
Yeah.
what gear you need, what works best for commuting. There's obviously also going to do training. The training schools as well, they'll provide lots of really good, useful
Yeah.
information. Again, they've got lots of miles under their belt. And then, if people have got friends, colleagues, or anybody they know is a motorcyclist,
Yeah.
speak to them, because there's one thing, motorcyclists like talking about motorbikes and
Yeah.
riding. So it won't be that they won't want to share their knowledge. So
Yeah.
get information.
So talking to people with lots of experience is the best
Yeah,
thing to do then.
absolutely.
You've probably answered my next question, Rob, already, but some bikes seem to be better than others for commuting. If someone were to come in to see you and say, I want a bike for riding to work, what would you say, moped, scooter, or a full-size motorcycle?
Well, I would actually say, first of all, ask the customer a few questions, because one of the things that we never want to do is sell the wrong bike to somebody. So our guys here would always sort of ask a few questions. So really, it'd be, how far are you going to commute? Will you be doing lots of sort of dual carriageway work, or is it mainly shorter distances through sort of urban, congested streets? Is it a bit of both? What sort of gear do you need to carry to work? That kind of thing. So you'd kind of like build a picture, because although all bikes will commute, there's no doubt about that. All of them have slight compromises there, as in anything. A scooter, for example, as I said before, they'll 125 scooter, they'll do 65 miles an hour. They've got good weather protection, lots of potential for storage, ideal for urban streets. On the other hand, if you were doing a bit more dual carriageway work, I would say motorways, but we don't have many of those in Suffolk. Or any of them in Suffolk,
Yeah.
then you'd want to think of something that perhaps a little bit bigger, that maybe could keep up with traffic on dual carriageway. So yeah, there's different bikes for different jobs, but they will all generally do the same thing. It's just I mean, one of the things, like on a bigger bike, of course, they're that much more difficult to park, and they're going to be that much more difficult to filter through traffic and all the advantages of sort of commuting. So, but on the other hand, if you get bitten by the bug, and somebody gets a scooter, then there's always a chance they enjoy themselves on two wheels and end up wanting to move up and onto a bigger bike. So, but
Or as I've done, I have two bikes or three bikes.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that, and that's what happens with a lot of people. They get bitten by the bug and end up with a bit of a collection.
So many people might be worrying about their bike getting stolen. I know I
Yeah.
see a lot on Facebook. Is
Yeah.
there any advice on preventing this from happening?
Well, I think the first thing is I'd say is think about where you're going to park it. Secure car parks are all good because they'll have sort of secure parking covered by CCTV, and the joy is they are free. To motorcycles, carrying a chain and a disc lock, they'll help. You can go to the next level where you're talking about installing trackers and alarms and all sorts of bits and pieces like that. As long as you're parking the bike in a fairly secure public area, which might be covered by CCTV, as I said, then you shouldn't have any problems. I mean, one thing I would say is obviously you have a steering lock on the bike, but you can't really just rely on that because, they're easy enough to break. I mean, they'll deter somebody for a short time, but your best bet is to have some other kind of secure device on there.
Well, thanks, Rob. And as soon as we can, I'll bring Holly into the shop and you can meet her.
Okay, yeah, brilliant.
I'd love that. I'd love to come in and have a look.
Yeah, I'm sure Rob's got a bike just for you.
Thank you ever so much for listening, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us, Rob. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions about the topics discussed today, please visit us at suffolkroadsafe.com or email us at suffolkroadsafe@suffolk.gov.uk, and we'll leave the details to Rob's dealership below as well. Excellent. Thank you ever so much, both of you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Holly.